So Chevy had a bit of a rough day. It started off good. Like every morning, Chevy reaches out to me with a text or a call. Morning, Sheldon. How you doing, buddy? I'm like, Chev, I'm doing good. You don't have to call me every day, but you do, and I appreciate it. But shortly into this day, things started to take a turn for you. First of all, there was a problem with a mouse that you not having a cat didn't know how to deal with. The frustration grew throughout the day. And next thing I hear, about 1 hour ago, Chevy got into a kerfuffle with some poor kid playing pickleball here in a men's sports league.
It wasn't pickleball. Okay, let's rewind. First of all, we can't cover this all in the first minute of the show. But yes,
let's talk about the little scuffle that you got into tonight.
Yeah, because the scuffle was more recently. We'll talk about my mouse issue later, because maybe we'll catch him during the show. If we catch the mouse during the show, I swear I'm bringing the trap. He's evaded me 3 times today, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I play ball hockey. Tonight I decided, you know what? I need some exercise. I was going to get exercise in my gym. I was like, no, you know what? My team needs me. I want to make sure I play enough games so I can make the playoffs. I figured I'm going to go. So I played ball hockey, and end of the game, some guy, after the buzzer went, I went to go pick up the ball in the corner for the ref. I was bent down. This little short gravedigger type guy comes in, and he puts his shoulder right through my face. And I turned around and I smiled. The end.
What really happened?
No, what really happened is he went for a little bit of a ride. His helmet flew off. His head kind of went into the glass. I think I tossed him to the ground. There was a little bit of aggression, but you know what? It was an equal and opposite reaction. He put his shoulder square into my face, and I had to make sure that he knew that was not cool. We were cool at the end, but he got the business. But yeah, when I tell this story to my mom and my girlfriend, who don't like the aggression that I often exhibit when I play ball hockey, because I am very aggressive. I'm like, I just say that I turned and smiled.
All I heard is he was 5'7" and you roughed him up pretty good. But
he was round. He was round. Listen, but the good thing about that is that whenever I do exercise, and especially when I play ball hockey and something like that happens, again, it's not my fault. I don't start stuff. What I do love is it gets me amped up. And when I'm amped up, I got energy. I'm excited. And I was already amped up because it's Tuesday night. We got a great show for you tonight, Sheldon, and everyone listening. The comments are already coming in. But tonight, Sheldon, I figure we talk a little bit about the Super Bowl fallout. A couple of things happened last week. Obviously, there was a tragedy. We don't want to spend too much time on that, but we will talk a little bit about it. But we want to touch on, we've been big fans of Taylor and Travis, and the Super Bowl was supposed to be a nice ending to that story, but Travis went a little bit off the rails last week. He went a little bit off script, and we're gonna discuss, like, does it affect their relationship? Does it affect their brand? I don't know. So we're gonna talk about that. I want to touch on some movies. We didn't even talk about Super Bowl commercials, but there was one that got me cranked up. I want to talk about that. This morning, we appeared on Eric Wilson's broadcast of the National Scouting Combine with the great work they're doing out there in Indianapolis. And we want to talk a little bit about off-season workouts and what that means when you're preparing for a combine versus preparing for a season, and how different that is, and just our experiences. And you know what? We may or may not go to overtime. I don't know. Sheldon, what do you think? Are we going to overtime?
You know what? I've called no overtime for the last 4 weeks, and we've done it every time. Chev, I'm just going to assume at this point that this is an hour and a half show.
Yeah, well, you know what? Get ready, and welcome to the ride.
All right, welcome to the ride, everybody. We're excited to be back. We're excited to see you guys back, and I think we're going to have a little bit of fun here this week. But first off, I want to thank our segment sponsor, Dream Reach Achieve. Take your sales team to the next level. Just go to dreamreachachieve.com to see how you do it. Chevy,
You know what? I want to thank everyone that's listening in right now. We got Anthony Cobbs, we got Nanamana, we got Jamin, usual suspects, Rob Evans. We got Jack Fulton joining us, an old friend of ours from Stampeders, and we'll have him on sometime. And obviously Ian Hill. Ian Hill says no overtime. Oh hell, overtime. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, for all of you listening in tonight, we want to make sure that we plug the network that we're on, the NGBN.TV network. We started our sneak peek January 26th. We launched on connected devices, Apple, Android, Amazon, Roku, soon to be Apple. So if listening tonight, if you're watching us the next day, catching us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of those channels, download the NGBN.TV app on your device. Visit the website. There's some great stuff there, great content, great shows. We mentioned Eric Wilson's show in the intro. Tomorrow morning, you can watch the last day of that National Scouting Combine. I think broadcast begins at 10 a.m. Eastern. So thanks for joining us tonight. Last week, Sheldon, I guess we got to close up last week before we get to our Super Bowl talk. It was a little bit of a train wreck. If you know what, if it was a ride and we were riding in the car, we literally went off the tracks. Like we were spinning our tires, and when we finally got going, it was a little bit of a mess. We didn't have a producer. Now,
and let's be honest here for a second. Probably about 2-3 hours before showtime, we were sitting there, and it was honestly an option to pull the pin on the whole thing.
Was it really an option to pull the pin?
It was discussed. It was out there. You didn't put it out there. I didn't put it out there, but it was put out there. I think it was people that didn't quite have faith that without our trusty producer, Jenna, that we couldn't pull this off.
Well, you know what? We sort of pulled it off. Like we had the Rocket Kelly Kirsch. We got him on, and he was a great guest, and we're going to have him on some more. But really, I don't even know where people were able to see us. I think they saw us on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't polished. It definitely wasn't primed. And we want to get Jenna on right now because Jenna's back. Like Jenna made it back from somewhere else. Jenna, thank you for being back this week. We definitely missed you. So tell us a little bit what happened last week.
What happened? Why I couldn't do the show?
Yeah, where were you?
I was that day, last Thursday, I was in Vegas on my way home, and that morning I had the Rubio Method live. So my internet connection wasn't that great at the Golden Nugget where we were staying. Okay. And so the night before, I found this law library that was like a block away where I could go and use their internet. So I'm there doing a show, 9 minutes left of the live show, my computer crashes. Yeah. So I'm on the phone right away, and I'm like messaging people with NGBN, and thank goodness Ed was there, and he went backstage and he finished the show. Rubio not knowing what's going on. And I think there was some he was trying to call in people, but nothing was happening. I don't know. So from then I rushed back to the hotel, pack, get a flight to come home. And then we go and stop at a Best Buy that's on our way to the airport. And we were like, we want this computer. Couldn't find it. Okay, we'll just find us a whatever computer that's like that. Couldn't find it. And I'm like, does anybody work here? So it finally found a computer, not the one we wanted. Get to the airport, missed my flight. So yeah. So then I'm like, well, I'm going home tonight. I have to. I have too much stuff to do in the shows. And found a flight, and I was just about to, it said land, I don't know, an hour, 10 p.m. I would land. It was delayed by an hour. So that's when I messaged you guys. I'm like, I can't.
You were panicking. We were panicking because, Sheldon and I talk like this, whether there's no camera, whether there's no mic. Like when the cameras go off, what people don't understand is I go to bed and I'm still talking.
In fact, some nights he calls me back. Hey, you know what we should have talked about this week, Sheldon? Yeah.
So Jen, I got a question for you. And I'm going to have another one after, but are you able to pull up the poetry music while you're on screen? Because we want you to be part of the poem this week. You have no clue this is coming, but we wrote a little poem, little ode to our producer who makes us look good, makes me look sharp, because last week I looked like I was using a camera from the 1940s, and it was probably a good thing. But can you pull up the poetry music while we're talking?
I can, but quickly, that wasn't even the end of the story.
Oh, sorry.
boy.
Continue.
No,
Sorry.
so
Cut you off.
I finally landed Calgary. It took me about 50 minutes to get my luggage, and then I get home and I have the Primal Method at 8 a.m. that I still need. Like, it's a brand new computer, and when you get a new computer, you have to reinstall everything, and
Yes.
like, it's a lot of work. So I
Oh,
started
get all
doing
your
that.
passwords, your email set up. Oh my God, yeah.
So I started doing that at the airport, but I was just like not there. So I come home and I went to start doing that. No internet.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So I was up till 3:30 in the morning trying to figure out the internet. Like, I'm unplugging things, I'm losing it. Because I'm like, I don't want to cancel like the Primal Method either. So finally I wake up at 6 in the morning and I do it all over again. And I got everything ready just for that show, but I had to push a couple other shows because,
and we totally get it. I mean, you, besides all of that, you had already had a monster couple of weeks with the launch of the sneak peek that you were producing all day, and then going to the Super Bowl, setting everything up, making sure we had 24 hours of live coverage. You did a fantastic job, Jenna. The reason we brought you on is actually to say thanks, not to give you crap for not being there. We were going to do a show regardless, but AC says that the boss lady had things to do. End of story. We got some great comments coming in. Nanamana says Jenna went MIA. But Jenna, if you could pull up that poetry music, we would like to read a poem to you.
Okay.
Here we go. Jenna, if people listening, she has no clue this is going on. So here we go. Welcome again to the show with no direction. If you think we're prepared, you are in the wrong section.
You stole my line, but here's a note to Jenna. Our producer is back. We needed her magic to get us on track.
Last week, stuck at the airport, she was sorely missed. The delays and the chaos sure had her pissed.
And our show kind of sucked without her in control, but we still showed up, even though there was a big hole.
To work with us knuckleheads is no small task. She's up for the challenge, though, because she's a farm girl from Sask.
Yeah. Now, we're late with our topics, our schedule, and our prep, but she rolls with our madness and always keeps step.
You're 300-pound poets, your hosts on this ride, but without our girl Jenna, the show would have died.
And if that had happened, it would have been a crime. But we are Chevy and Nasty, but this is Jenna's time. This is for you, Jenna. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So Jenna, my last question before we let you go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how absolutely, like 1 being like not too bad at all, and 10 being like frustrating as hell, maybe your experience in the airport, how frustrating is it to work with Chevy and Nasty, knowing that, we get our stuff to you late. We don't even know what we're talking about right up until sometimes, I was waiting for, I'm throwing Sheldon under the bus. I had so Jenna texts me on Sunday. She's like, I need a show description so I can put the live event. And when are you going to do your stuff? So I'm like, okay, Jenna just texted me. I got to put the response in the group text with Sheldon, so he knows we're on a little heat to our fire. So I put the little text in. I'm like, hey guys, this is the show description. Any suggestions for an edit? It was like crickets. I didn't hear from Sheldon. I didn't hear from Sheldon till 6 o'clock yesterday. He's like, hey, you want to do show prep? I'm like, Sheldon, I just got my kids back. I got to take one kid to hockey practice from 6:30 to 8:30. And then they had a hockey game. They had a hockey game from 9:45 to 11 o'clock. And all we knew is that we were going to talk about Travis Kelce at some point. And then the magic happens between midnight and where we are right now. The magic happens. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and then I'll let Sheldon. How annoying is it to work with us?
I'm slowly. Well, for me, it's slow, but I'm trying to train you guys just with like a couple other shows that I'm doing. They do the same thing, but they're finding out the hard way that it's not going to work like that anymore.
Wow, I see it.
Especially when I'm traveling.
You know what? My wife's been working on me for 18 years, Jenna. I don't know. But
Jamin
we
says
will
it's
do our
12.
best, because just out of the sheer sadness that we had and the hole in our hearts and the total train wreck that our show was last week, yes, maybe we'll start listening to Jenna, because Jenna brings wisdom.
Well, you guys realize it's only men that I have to work with, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's lots of fun.
You know, Amanda says she gets the crickets from you too, Nasty. So
I was
maybe she's not
working,
going.
dude.
You know what, guys?
Not all of us get to drive around in shiny red fire trucks and spray water on fires and rescue cats.
Sheldon, the last time I put out a fire was this summer. I was walking out of a presentations to like a group of seniors, and it was like 40 degrees outside, and someone had put a cigarette out in a planter, and I took my water bottle and I poured it on the smoking butt in the plant, and I felt like a hero. Like I was a hero.
So you're saying not everybody at the fire department drives around in a red truck?
No, I'm saying not all heroes wear capes, Sheldon.
There you go.
Well, listen,
Jenna,
we're going to let Jenna go, but I think we're also going to take this opportunity to take a commercial break, because we're about 20 minutes into the show. And this is perfect because it's setting us up very nicely for overtime. The part of the show that everyone seems to stick around for. So again, thank you all for listening to us. You know our socials. We're at Chevy and Nasty, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. The graphic is there. Look at that. We did have graphics.
Magic.
See, you do need me.
We do. We definitely need. I didn't even know the graphic. See, you sprung that on us. We sprung the poem on you. What a beautiful relationship. Let's take a break. Let's play some of those nice new promos. When we get back, we're going to get into this Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing.
Okay, thanks. I want to say before the break, thank you for the poem. It was lovely.
Always.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced, like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship, and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device, or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hello, my name is Charles Schultz, host of The Edge of Greatness. I hope you choose to join me on a journey into discovering the greatness in your life through the exploration of 7 pillars: purpose, mindset, resilience, discipline, commitment, people, and courage. Hope to see you there.
Hold on, Chev. I'm just responding to your text here now.
Oh, good. You're supposed to look at your text during the break.
Well, I tried to there, but I got stuff going on.
AC says overtime. We're still in the intro. You know what? We did spend 20 minutes on the intro, but that was fun. That's what our show is about. Our show is, like we do have direction. We actually have it. Like we actually have a nice piece of paper here that we work on that says what we're going to talk about. But sometimes it's just too fun to spend time on a subject. And Jenna's awesome. And Jenna deserves her time in the sun because she does so much work for this network, so much work that people wouldn't even know. I don't think this network goes if we don't have Jenna. We probably need to clone her. That technology needs to come quick. because with how this network is expanding, the NGBN.TV network, we're going to need a couple of her because, you know, she's going to get burnt out, but she's awesome. The network's awesome. If you want to get some NGBN.TV merch, there's some really cool things out there. Just go to the website, NGBN.TV, go to the store, use the promo code RIDE10, and you get a little discount off some of your stuff there.
Anthony Cobb says boss lady is a boss and she kills bats too. I've never heard that story, but I don't doubt it. And as
Well,
we're going to
I need her at my house because a mouse is just a bat without wings. And I like, do we get into the mouse now? We get into the mouse now, I think, because that was the perfect segue.
Sure.
Listen,
Absolutely.
so I've been I live in a townhouse complex. I'm going to tell you the truth. I live in a townhouse complex where my house is attached to other houses. Now, years ago when I bought this complex, my neighbor, who is no longer living there, was a hoarder. And before I bought my apartment, I heard that she had a problem with mice. They cleared it out and stuff, but obviously we have weather sometimes that's like -40, -50. We had a few weeks ago, and they come in because they want to keep warm. So I trapped a couple of mice. I got them, got rid of them. One day, I hear another mouse scurrying about, and I was like, okay, I got to trap this guy. I set a trap. The little guy hit the trap at 5 a.m. I hear clack, 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 clack. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I wake up. I'm like, oh no, it's the mouse. So I run downstairs and I see a trap walking around my living room. Basically, the trap got on top of the mouse. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh geez, what do I do? I said, you know what? I'm just going to let him die. I'm going to go to bed, wake up. He's dead. But then I was like, oh, this little bugger is going to go for the grate. So I run back downstairs and man, I grab the trap with the mouse attached to it. And he's literally grabbing onto my vent. And he pulls himself free and he takes off. And so I was like, God, it's actually causing me anxiety. Just talking about causing me anxiety. So I've been dealing with this dude for like 3 weeks now. And I know he's here because today I'm working. So I work from home a couple of days a week, or I start my day from home. I'm doing an email and I see him walk like right by me. Like he didn't care. So now I'm all like, I'm hyper aware. I grab all my traps that I had somewhere else. I put them by my kitchen. And this dude doesn't even care that I'm standing right there. He literally comes out, tests the trap, makes it snap and runs away. And like, I'm panicking. And I told my kids, I got 3 boys, right? 3 teenage boys. Yeah, I need a pussycat like Sheldon. I got 3 teenage boys. And I'm like, guys, you got to put your food away. They eat granola bars, applesauce. They leave their wrappers everywhere. I'm like, guys, we got a mouse. So I get my kids back yesterday. I'm in the car with my sons and I'm like mad, right? I'm like, dudes, you got to put your stuff, your wrappers away. I've been chasing this mouse for 3 weeks. And my 17-year-old, he just starts laughing at me in the car. I'm like, Luke, I'm serious. Why are you laughing? He's like, Dad. He's like, I just got this image that you were like Tom and Jerry and you were Tom chasing the mouse around the house. So anyhow, that was my adventure yesterday into today. But yeah, if Jenna could catch bats, I need her because this is a fat mouse. I showed you the video, Sheldon. Yeah. He's not a little guy.
Dude, he's got you timed up. Like, that's the thing. You're talking about the 3 weeks, and that's a mistake you made. Instead of coming over the top at the start, you kind of ease your way into how am I going to solve this problem. He watched his 2 cousins die there in the house. He's got you all figured out. He knows all the tricks. He knows all your traps. And I told you, I got 2 cats here. A lot of guys like dogs. Everybody, I'm going to get a big, tough dog because it's good for my image. No, man, I got cats. You know why? Because I don't want mice. And I don't have mice because I got cats.
He literally snapped the trap 5 minutes before you got in here. You saw, I heard the snap. I jumped off and you guys are like, are you going to be back for the show? So I don't know. This is a story in progress. I'm literally chasing this dude. Like I'll be chasing him all night trying to figure it out. If you guys got any suggestions, like someone like Jenna thinks that the sticky tape, someone told me these pebbles, I need a strategy because it's not working for me.
Jamin here earlier. Jamin's got some experience with this. It sounds like a good plan. Let me find this here. Jamin says size doesn't matter. And no, that was another comment for another thing.
Well, Jenna says that
peanut butter and peanut butter.
Yeah, I got peanut butter in my traps.
He got rid of 2 mice a couple of weeks ago. Peanut butter. You just got to bait it properly.
I got rid of the dumb mice with the peanut butter. This guy's like the Terminator mouse. He literally he's taunting me like Home Alone. Okay, let's move on from the mouse because it's actually making me nervous. Last week, Super Bowl, Sheldon. My prediction came through. The Chiefs win. life goes on. NFL season ends, blah, blah, blah. We knew there was going to be a parade. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, there
Jenna
it is.
and Ian. They're at the Super Bowl in Kansas City with the rat. Is that a rat? It looks like a mouse. Like everything looks like a mouse to me. If it's furry, it looks like, look, I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse. Like I like Mickey Mouse. I don't like my mouse. Anyhow, the story that we wanted to touch on, let's get right to it. Travis Kelce, belligerent drunk on the stage. Your first take, Sheldon. Just give me what you got.
Well, my first take is this: is adults are allowed to do what they want to do, but this is on company time, and this isn't celebrating just for Travis Kelce. This is celebrating for the organization with the city, and you know what? As much as I love the guy, it was a bad look, right?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm going to agree with you. It was a bad look, and for me, it started like how I have been on the Kelce Swift thing. I never had a problem with his game. I actually quite enjoy him. I enjoy the show that he does with his brother, but and I was glad that the Chiefs won. But there was that point in the game. It was actually a point after the game where they handed out the trophy, and they handed it to the owner, get it to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and then Kelce. I mean, they usually don't get 3 or 4 guys talking, but they got him up there. And it really felt like it was the Kelce show. In that moment, it wasn't really about the team. It was like, could he one up his brother from his brother's speech a few years ago? He one up himself from the last couple of wins? And it was really like the whole you fight for your right to party. It just felt a little bit much. And then you fast forward to that party. Of course, you have fun. Of course, you have a good time. I mean, I've won championships. I've had a couple of brews. I've had a couple of cigars. But when you got to be on. And for that hour to 2 hours, when you're doing a parade in front of little kids, in front of parents, not that every guy that's an athlete is automatically supposed to be a role model, but there are people that will be looking at you in that moment as a role model. I remember my first Stanley Cup parade on St. Catherine Street, just in awe of my heroes carrying the cup. And then when I had the first opportunity with the Edmonton Eskimos to go through the parade, I remember we walked through the mall and stuff. You're high-fiving people. What he displayed was, it just was a bit too much. That's my opinion. And he didn't represent properly.
And that's the way I look at it. I think part of being a pro is like it's the same thing on game day or on practice. You can't show up to practice hungover and say to your coach, "Oh man, we had a great time last night. It was awesome." You get yourself cut really fast if you start showing chinks in your armor in practice days and things like that. There's certain times that you have to show up for. And I'm sorry, but I think that the bar's been set for the Super Bowl parade. Yeah, you can show up a little bit intoxicated, have some fun, show a side that people don't normally get to see. But he needed teammates to hold him up.
Yeah,
and that morning, I mean, they must have had a hell of a night because Brittany Mahomes was posting shots, getting an IV that morning. They must have had a great night. But he needed somebody in his circle to say, "Let's calm it down," because it's not that I've changed my opinion of Kelce out of this whole thing. I still love the guy. I love his show. I love his take on the game. I love the way he performs. I love the way he finds a way to win. But when you start getting that drunk and you've got teammates trying to take the microphone from you and you're wrestling it back from them on stage, that's kind of a bad look. Like,
and if I'm going to contrast it to Tom Brady a few years ago when he won the Super Bowl in Tampa, and it was like he goes to Tampa, he delivers them a Super Bowl, he proves his greatness right away from Bill Belichick, and they caught him intoxicated. But at that point, that was a side of Tom Brady no one had ever seen. It was like, oh, look, the guy's finally letting loose. He was such a stick in the mud the whole Belichick era. Like, he answered questions after games the same way Belichick did. He kind of was in that Patriot mold, and this was his opportunity just to be a little freer. Like, he was having more fun that year. He was having fun with Gronk. They were making funny videos, but he didn't even go over top. Yeah, you could tell he was a bit smashed at the parade, and he tossed the trophy off the boat, but he wasn't making a fool out of himself while all eyes were on him. And I thought that's what Travis Kelce did. And one of his teammates should have taken the mic from him. They should have never given him the mic. So, and you talk about the people in his circle. let's talk about, the right now, the biggest person in the circle, Taylor Swift. She's got a brand, right? Like,
Big time.
she's got a brand. Her brand in general has been this wholesome girl that appeals to young girls. She's very selective. Like, you have never seen her publicly drunk or intoxicated. In the Super Bowl, she's chugging a beer and she's slamming it down. Now, that was not for me, because I was like, hey, look, she's having a good time. And I'm sure a lot of people said, wow, finally, like, she's not this little, she was having a good time. But I'm going to tell you, I was talking with my girlfriend, Brittany, and her daughter's 10 years old. And she gives me Taylor Swift concerts when I go to the house. She'll put on a show for about an hour and a half. She knows every move of every song, every word. She mimics. And guess what she did Monday morning? She grabbed her cup. She said, Mom, look, I'm Taylor Swift. She took a big swig and slammed it down.
No.
And this is a kid that doesn't even watch football. So that level of scrutiny is what they're under.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, so does what Travis do? Does it infringe upon Taylor's image? Because she's got to distance herself from that.
When you look at that, and here's a difference between them two, and we know this from being football players. There is a certain element, like it or not, a certain element of being a role model and being a pro, right? So there's times where you have to be a pro, but you're also allowed a lot more grace than someone like Taylor Swift is. Her entire multi-billion-dollar industry is built around her image and her brand. And yeah, she got caught on a couple things. I have no problem with her chugging a beer at the Super Bowl, just as the same as after the game, watching her come up and touch sweaty Travis. And it reminds me of my wife after games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that was a very real moment, but I get the influence it has on some of the young Swifties, but I don't fault her for that. That was the cameras on her. She had no control over that.
Right.
Question for me becomes, is driven in her career she is, right? Because I've got to assume she has emotions like normal human beings. I love this guy. I'm infatuated with this guy. I want to keep dating this guy. But at what point are you going to let a guy like that risk your multi-billion-dollar enterprise? Like, honestly, I'm wondering about it. It's a bad look. She's so smart. She's so polished. She's so perfect. And she calculates every move. He gets drunk and forgets the words to friends in low places. I mean, I love it, right? At a party, at a campfire. I love it. But
you know what?
Can she be associated with that?
He was
worried about it since then.
Yeah. You know what? He was even a little bit overboard for being on brand for him. Like, the Kelce brothers have a reputation of partying. In fact, Jason was right along with him wearing the luchador mask and the Kansas City suspenders. I thought he was hilarious and awesome. Yeah. But there is an element of chatter out there that's saying that, it was something that was not cool in the Kelce Swift relationship. Was he on brand? Probably. You got a lot of guys saying, yeah, look at him. He, that whole you only live once and don't give no F's. But I don't think it damages her too much. Maybe it adds a different element, like watching her chug beer.
Ask your girlfriend's daughter what she thinks of Travis Kelce.
Well, yeah, but like every artist, and I had the discussion with her. We were talking about, it's like, yeah, it might affect a little bit right now. And it's not on brand, but you know what? Sometimes even bad publicity is good publicity for a brand. I mentioned Miley Cyrus last week. Miley Cyrus does not become as successful as she is now if she doesn't break free from her Hannah Montana persona.
Yeah.
Like, if she stayed, I'm Hannah Montana, she would never be where she is, because people who are on boy bands.
That was the problem with her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah,
never broke free of achy breaky heart.
That's right. And if you can't break free and sometimes show that you have a different side, you kind of look like you're manufactured. So I think that was a moment where they weren't sort of so clean cut. But, does it damage a relationship? I don't know. I just read a report today that he's planning to go to Australia and Singapore.
I didn't hear her confirm it.
Well, I mean, her dad did. And, I also read this report that the dad, Kelce's dad, said he's become quite good friends with Taylor's dad. And apparently Taylor's dad played college football. And he's much more happier that she's dating a football player than a musician. Maybe, just relation stuff. And but what did happen after that, like, let's switch gears, because the real serious tragedy happened. And again, we'll relate it to these two people. But obviously there was a shooting. We all heard about it. 22 people injured, 1 person dead. They just laid charges today on 2 individuals for murder and 2 other individuals, 2 teenagers, for possession of weapons. You know, I don't want to go into school shootings because it seems like it's happening so much. And you know, I don't think I can offer anything of substance to that other than, you know, I feel it's wrong. And I don't know why it's become so common. But when we talk about, you know, we talked about how low Travis looked in that day and maybe some of the image that Taylor portrayed on Sunday, they did rebound quite nicely, right?
Yeah, they did a nice thing, and yeah, culturally we're kind of at a mess up point. Even I do consider this completely separate from school shootings, because when I went to school, we used to bring guns to school. You'd see hunting rifles in the gun rack of your truck back in the 1980s, right? But the world's obviously changed, and they needed to rebound from that kind of bad look, and Taylor just instantly got in there, putting out condolences and thoughtful tweets. And by Friday, she'd actually donated $100,000 to the woman's family that was killed, which I thought was a really high-end move. She's famous for that. She helps out wherever she can. And Travis, as much of a knucklehead as you are, good job following suit and donating $100,000, which I know is a lot harder for you than it was for Taylor. But you know, to help out that family that had two of their kids injured, right? That was a nice move.
Yeah, and also, you know, lending his influence, because I mean, 100%. Look, him and his brother have a highly viewed podcast, the New Heights podcast, and for them to go on there and spend some time talking about it, putting out links to mental health services for first responders, I thought that was pretty commendable. So yeah, a bump in the road. He partied hard. He partied like a rock star. But now it looks like he's going to go to Sydney, Australia, and go watch Taylor Swift, and you know, they're gonna live happily ever after. That's what it is. But speaking of happily ever after, we're gonna have to take a break pretty quick here. We're on the NGBN network. I'm Chevy. He's Nasty. You're here. We thank you all for your comments. Keep them rolling. Follow us at Chevy and Nasty, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X. We're live tonight on all those platforms, I believe. And we're on this NGBN network. We got some great stuff coming up. Let's take a break. Sheldon, grab a sip, and we'll get back to our script.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. In the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers, we're on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced, like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship, and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Are you a business owner or sales professional and want to build and maintain a peak performing premium pricing sales team? Are you and your team finding it difficult to work with clients you want to at the premium prices you deserve? The Professional Sales and Execution Certificate Program will dismiss the sales myths that have limited you and your team and stalled your complete company's growth. Learn all about our PSE secret weapons, including the 98.2 premium presentation that helps build a high-ticket repeat sales network. These absolutely dead simple secret weapons allow you and your team to be yourself and utilize extremely powerful ways to decide which clients you want to work with. If you're ready for a high energy and high power training session that will completely transform you and your team into the envy of your industry, simply click here and register and book now. Get started on your premium pricing high ticket sales execution journey now.
You know, Chev, watching the commercials and the promos there during the break, it just takes me back to our FOMO that we talked about with Rubio and Sholdis and AC when we were on their show. How we missed the Super Bowl. That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, they did such fantastic work there. Did you say Sholdis or did you say Jonas? You know what? I'm gonna put you on this.
I said Jonas.
I think you said Sholdis.
Yeah, I said.
But it's okay. Like for anyone that doesn't know Sheldon, and I love catching these things because I have a little chuckle in my head. So Sheldon is awesome. He's my favorite guy to work with because everyone like. You're very quick-witted. You make me laugh when you're trying to be funny, but you also make me laugh when you're not trying to be funny. So the last few weeks, you made a reference to Tom Brady, and I know you were trying to say Gronkowski,
yeah.
but every time it came out Shockey. And I was like, every time you said, I was like, and then one time you called what's his name? Kelce.
Yeah,
and
I did.
You're very good to the names, but this isn't just names with people that you're not closely associated with, like Brian Jodas. You know, I know you could easily confuse him with Shoulders. Like it's close. So and you could apologize to people for messing up their names, but the best one that I've ever had is we did a show last year, and you know, Sheldon, at the height of your playing days, you were one of the great defensive tackles in the CFL, and you were the defensive tackle responsible for the defensive player of the year in the CFL. Because of you, this linebacker got all the tackles, and he was John Grace. One of the greatest linebackers that played in that era in 2004 for the Calgary Stampeders. And when we mentioned his name last year in the air, you called him Will Grace.
Will Grace called him. Yeah, Will Grace. Yeah.
In the notes. So if anyone gets offended by Sheldon's names mess ups, please don't, because I think it's just so awesome.
I'm gonna pull a Dave DeRoche. I don't know if you guys have caught it. So Dave DeRoche with Sideline Sports. He's just like me. He's got great stories, great takes. But sometimes the wrong name comes out. He blames it on the concussions. He was an offensive guard. I was a defensive tackle. Maybe guys like us just banged our heads too many times. But
it's Dave DeRochers.
Yeah,
it's
Dave DeRoche.
DeRochers.
Well, the American pronunciation. That's right. But he played in Montreal, so I'll call him DeRoche. But Dave DeRochers. Thank you. You see right there.
Jenna, we love when you pop in on us. So
she just called me out like you did.
Yeah, well, we call each other out all the time. Don't worry, I talk too much, and that's why we wind up in overtime. So let's finish Super Bowl. We talked the game, we talked the action, we talked everything going on. The only thing we actually didn't talk about, and I didn't really get a chance to see many of them, were the commercials. But there was one commercial that really turned my crank, okay? Because you know this is going to be one of my favorite segments. I don't know how many people love this stuff, but I do. But
well, I will say this, folks, just to help set this up. All of a sudden, my phone during the Super Bowl started getting lit up. Oh my god! 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 And yeah. Did you see that?
So I got a wall behind me that's full of football memorabilia, but I got a wall upstairs that's full of comic book stuff. I love the comic book stuff. And when I saw the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, I was like a 12-year-old kid again. You know, for me, watching that trailer, I don't know if any of you are fans of the Marvel stuff, of the DC stuff, Deadpool in particular, but for me, that movie coming out this year, it's a big deal for me. You watched the trailer tonight, Sheldon. What did you think?
Oh yeah, I loved it. You know what? I loved it so much that it actually took me back, and I had to watch the end of Deadpool 2, just because there's some tie-ins from the commercial or from the trailer and all that stuff. And unlike you, like I like my comic books, right? But I wasn't a Marvel guy. I wasn't big on that. So I had to go back and kind of remind myself of the whole storyline. Like I didn't even know that Deadpool had already fought Wolverine in Origins, right? I didn't realize that was Deadpool. I don't even remember Deadpool when I was a kid.
So Deadpool was kind of a character in the 90s. He caught fire pretty quick. He's really great. But if you don't read the comic books and have seen the movie, Ryan Reynolds, he does a fantastic job as this character. And he was so convinced that he wanted to play this character. Like he basically shot test footage of him in character. There's before the first Deadpool movie came out, about 2 years before, a year and a half ago, he released this test footage of him playing the character. It was a very simple scene, and he released it online. And that footage, probably a 3-minute clip, went viral to the point where fans demanded that this film be made. And he used that to create the first movie. And that movie was a smash hit. It really was different than the typical superhero genre that was being made at the time with the Marvel movies that were more PG. I mean, Deadpool rated R. His jokes have to be censored. I didn't want my kids watching it, but now they're teens and they're going to watch it not in my house. But fantastic movie, the first one. The second one was fantastic. But what I love about this third one, I'm such a geek that I don't just watch the movies. I love all the backstory into how they get made. Now, what people don't understand is if you watched any of the X-Men movies, that franchise was one of the first superhero franchise to really get some traction. And that was with the great Sir Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, the great Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. That's his defining role. And those two men played those roles for the better part of 20 years, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And they had their swan song in the movie Logan. And if you've ever seen the movie Logan, man, that movie's awesome. And Hugh Jackman vowed retirement from the character of Wolverine. And what I loved about this Deadpool 3 movie is that over the course of the last 5 years, Ryan Reynolds, if you follow him on Instagram, if you don't, you should, because he's so entertaining. He has been doing everything in his power on this viral platform that's social media to get Hugh Jackman to reverse his decision to become Wolverine. And it was kind of like this for about 3-4 years there. Will he or won't he? And I had been following it so much to the point where one day Hugh Jackman finally decides, I got to shut this guy up, this Ryan Reynolds guy. And yes, I'm coming back for Wolverine. And it was.
So do you think that was for real?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Hugh Jackman was done. He said it was too tired. It was too intense on his body to train for that singular role. He's in his 50s now, late 50s. He's like, I can't do what I did for the role early on. And then comes this Ryan Reynolds guy and just keeps turning his crank and pushing his buttons, when he's like, you know what? Let's go. And so this real awesome buddy movie, and I have a lot of anticipation. The hard thing is when I have anticipation for a movie, it usually sucks. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I'm really excited. It's coming out in July. I'm a big Deadpool fan. I love the X-Men stuff. I got a little bit of superhero fatigue. Like I love all those movies, but I've watched the most recent Marvel movies and I'm kind of like, meh. But Deadpool's a little different. So I'm looking forward to that. And hey, if we wrap up this Taylor Swift conversation, she was at the Super Bowl with Blake Lively, who is Ryan Reynolds' wife. And Ryan Reynolds is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and so is Deadpool in the comic books. In fact, there's a bunch of references to Taylor Swift's music in the first two Deadpools. So the rumor is that she has made a cameo in this Deadpool 3 because Marvel put out a poster this week. You don't know, I know this stuff, where there's 2 friendship bracelets, one Deadpool, one Wolverine, and one friendship bracelet with the date the movie's coming out. And those friendship bracelets are the bracelets they exchange at Taylor Swift concert.
I heard something about that friendship. Okay, that makes sense now. That makes sense. So first off, there's Amanda Napashchik, my wife, calling me a geek. No, Randy, you are the true geek, but I love this. And I'm also going to put out Michael and Isabel Hunsinger says, you don't think if you think Taylor Swift's brand was hurt in Australia, she's selling out 80,000 seat stadiums. So you know what? I agree, because those guys don't even know who Kelce is. But you know what, Chev? They're about to know because he's going to be traveling with her. But back to Deadpool. Yeah, like that's crazy. Isn't it kind of funny how all this just ties back in? So does that mean Kelce's going to make an appearance? Is it's going to be the new X-Men? Is he going to be the next Wolverine? Grow out his chops?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and there's more backstory here. So all those Marvel characters that came out that were owned by Disney were studio produced by Disney. Avengers, all those guys. Fox owned all the X-Men cartoons, movies, and properties. A few years ago, Disney bought all the Fox stuff back into the house. So now and they had to find a way to introduce those X-Men and Fox characters to that Disney universe. And Deadpool's the guy to do it. Now it's going to be interesting because Disney is primarily PG and G-rated movies. Like no superhero movie produced by Disney going to theaters was ever more than a PG type movie, right? Deadpool is an R-rated movie, so I don't know how they're going to pull this off.
They're gonna wreck it at some point because they have wrecked Marvel, they have wrecked Star Wars. They're gonna wreck Deadpool at some point. But this one looks promising, man.
This one looks promising. Now, we're gonna have to get off in about 4 minutes, Sheldon. And I talked about something before. I don't know if we'll have time. We'll probably have to carry it into overtime because that's just the way it is. And we thank you all for joining us. But I talked about when I'm very much in anticipation of a movie. And sometimes I go see it and I'm sorely disappointed. So there's a movie that everyone had been telling me is like one of the best movies of all time. And I just hadn't watched it. And I love movies. I watch lots of films. I watch many movies. But this one movie in particular that everyone told me was amazing, I had never seen it. And I know you're going to say, whoa, what the heck? You haven't seen it. I watched it the other night for the first time. And that movie is The Wolf of Wall Street. In fact, I think our buddy Rubio, who's missing the show tonight, has the poster on behind his head when he does the show. And I got to tell you, Sheldon, I wasn't too impressed. I was not impressed. I thought it was well acted. We're going to be cut off at 57 here on the network, just so you know. So
I'm looking. We got another 8 minutes here, bud. Or 6 minutes.
I don't know. On mine, it says it's 55. Jenna, tell us, how much time do we got left? Do we hit this in the overtime or where's your little?
Hi, sorry. It's 52:09 right now, so you got till 57.
Okay. We got 5 minutes. Okay.
And Wolf of Wall Street, best movie ever.
Thank you.
You're gonna say that.
Dude.
See,
what? Okay. First off, I think this is about to go down as your worst take ever. Yes, you picked the Grey Cup winner. Yes, you picked the Super Bowl winner. I've never heard anybody say Wolf of Wall Street was a bad movie.
Listen, I love Scorsese movies. Every other Scorsese movie, from including The Irishman, Departed, any movie Scorsese made to me is better than movie. I'm not saying it's not well acted. I mean, it's Leonardo DiCaprio being Leonardo DiCaprio in every Scorsese movie. But for me, the celebration of, and again, I used to love movies. I loved Scarface. I loved Pulp Fiction. There was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of sex. There was a lot of violence. But Wolf of Wall Street really was just this celebration of this over-the-top lifestyle. There's like anybody that I know is like, Wolf of Wall Street was awesome. I know exactly why they think it was an awesome movie. Not because it was an awesome film, but it was this guy was living such a debaucherous life with the drugs, the hookers, that like it really didn't do anything for me. There were no endearing characters in the movie. There was not one character that I could root for.
Not a single long snapper. I will point that out. Not a single long snapper in that movie.
And again, at the end, he goes to jail. He gets out. He's a motivational speaker. He's like, it's like everything's good in his world. And I just found it rotten. And all those actors, I like Leo. I like Jonah Hill. I like all those actors. And in that movie,
Margot Robbie made a breakout performance.
I think they did a great job because I actually stopped liking them as people leaving that movie. You said it was one of your top 5 movies, and I can name 5 movies that I like better than that one.
Yeah, so it's your top 6. That's
not even top 10.
You know, I'm wondering if you just watched it on a bad day.
No,
because it's no different than Luke Skywalker busting open a lightsaber and taking out 50 stormtroopers. There's a certain element of adrenaline to it, but really what it was a guy that was down and out on his last freaking chance. And he went and he took it too far, but it was interesting to see that you can take it that far.
I liked Rudy better than that.
Like the British Special Forces, fortune favors the bold. You know, he took it too far, and it all crumbled down. And you know, at the end of the day, that movie was really, you're just rewatching Denzel Washington in
American Gangster.
You were just watching Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. You're watching the guy that came from nothing, rose to the very top, got taken down, and then to make us all feel better about ourselves, they joined society and helped the good guys at the end of the movie.
You know what? Leonardo
DiCaprio. The Quaaludes, he's flying a helicopter with Quaaludes.
See, that was just too much for me. It was just too much for me. It was like I love movies where that element, whether it's the drug, the sex, the violence, adds to the script. I think this was just listen.
Nana Mona's with you. Oh my God, everybody's against me. Amanda's with me.
Jamin's with me. He says he's with me. You know, like what is it? Amanda says best movie ever. Listen. Pulp Fiction, way better. Scarface, way better. Leonardo DiCaprio, like if you watch The Departed, where there's actually character development between him and Matt Damon and was
Never
so
seen it.
tense.
I've never
Heat,
seen it.
watch Heat. Heat was like so many movies. Usual Suspect, way better. Yes,
Absolutely.
Anthony Cobb.
Absolutely.
Reservoir Dogs, so violent, yet the interaction between the characters, it was a film. Wolf of Wall Street was a bunch of guys snorting cocaine off prostitutes' boobs in the airplane on the way to Vegas, and everyone's saying, "I want to be on that plane. It's so cool." It really didn't do it for me. That's my take. Maybe I'm wrong.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get you a pair of reading glasses, and I'm going to get you a foam brick, and so you can start throwing it at your TV when the news comes on, because that's sort of I'm a little surprised by that take, to be honest with you.
You know what? I thought I was going to love the movie. I thought it was going to be a little bit more about his ingenuity. Like it really didn't talk about his schemes and the things he did.
You know what I'm going to do here, though, Chevy, because we are up against it. And Mama Nanamona, we are going to go to overtime tonight, but we're up against the clock right now, guys. So this is it for those of you that are watching on Roku. We just want to thank you all again for joining us tonight. We will continue this onto YouTube, but guys, we appreciate you guys sticking with us for the whole night. Make sure you check us out on Chevy Nasty on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and every other social channel you can find. Guys, thank you. Good night. And I'm going to guess that we're back on because I think I missed it by a minute. I think we have 30 seconds left.
I don't know. Jenna, what do you think? Did we do it? Did we do it right? What do you think, Jenna?
No, you didn't.
What did we do wrong? Coach us up. Coach us live.
Because the extra is about 20 seconds. So that needs to end at the 57 mark. But you're close.
Jenna, send us off then because you got 11 seconds.
No, I think we're done now. I think now we're in overtime.
Yeah, now you're in overtime.
And so, Jenna, you like The Wolf of Wall Street?
Now I get time and a half, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I do. I love it. It's one of those movies like 101 Dalmatians. I just play in the background because
did you just compare Wolf of Wall Street to 101 Dalmatians? Like, there's. Did you just do that? Like a Disney classic about
there were
puppies?
No puppies killed in Wolf of Wall Street, dude.
There were about as many. There were probably more hookers with their boobs out in Wolf of Wall Street than there were puppies in 101 Dalmatians.
The
only thing that was similar is there was a lot of white stuff in both movies.
In both movies.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
No, I do. I love it. I do. It's a good show. And my brother and I have this inside joke now. We're always like Steve Madden every time anywhere we are and we see the brand, we say it just like that. Or like I just bought a Steve Madden shoes and I send him a picture and he replies back, Steve Madden.
Get how that could be funny. Maybe I'm just about 10 years, 20 years too late on the movie, because again, I started doing, when I watch a movie that has interesting or true facts to it, I start Googling it as I'm watching, and I'm finding out that this guy, this degenerate, is now like a multi-million-dollar motivational speaker and sales guy, and everyone loves him. And it's like, God, that's not the way.
On the flip side, that's actually kind of, I mean, he took that, the crappy part of what happened to his life, you know, because he took advantage of, you know, people's money and so on and so forth, went to jail, came out and was like, well, now I can use this, build himself back up.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's a redemption story. I just, it was a tough one for me to watch. It's definitely not a redemption story I want to watch with my children. It took me long enough to watch Deadpool with my kids, and that has certain references to sexuality and drugs that I'm just not super comfortable with. I think why I was a little bit perturbed as I watched it, because I do remember at one point I hadn't seen the movie, and probably in the last year and a half, at one point, my son, who's 17, said, "Hey, Dad, did you ever watch that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street? It's so awesome." And I didn't know what he watched. And then I watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, my son has seen this movie, and I'm just like mortified, right? So Yeah, AC says it's an epic rise and fall story. Everyone likes to see the antihero slash villain fall. Yeah, I don't know. Like I love those kind of movies, but I also like the traditional movies. I think Jamin said, the old school is a classic. I agree. Old schools. I like class. If I'm looking for funny, I'm looking for classic comedy, old school, something about Mary. My funniest movie that I love is The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, great movie. Yeah.
And you know why it was great for me? Because I had no clue what I was watching. I thought it was a cop buddy flick. I walk in, I see The Rock, I see Samuel L. Jackson. I'm watching in the theater. I'm like, this movie's gonna be epic with those two guys and those other two guys. And the next thing you know, there's that scene where they're like, "Hey, man, what does he say? Jump for the fence? No, jump for the bushes." Yeah. And then it's like, "There goes my hero." And then both Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock die.
Yeah.
In that opening scene, and I was like, oh my God, I was laughing so hard. I was like, this is a great movie. So yeah, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
I like comedies too, but it's the based on real life event stuff that just suckers me in. Like The Short. I've seen that movie.
The Big Short. The
Big Short. Yeah. I've seen it and listened to it a gazillion times. And what's funny is I didn't really catch on to a lot of stuff they were saying till probably, I don't know, 75th time watching it and listening to it. But that was after I took my accounting classes in business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now get it.
I'm still going to go with the classic movie that was my most favorite movie of all time when I started watching films. Because there was a point when I was a kid, I was watching movies like Mad Max, Beyond the Thunderdome, and The Goonies, and The Gremlins, and Rambo, and Predator. And then one day I watched my first film. And that first film that I watched was The Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. And that changed my outlook on movies and what movies are in terms of the stories they tell and how they tell the stories. And for me, that's one of my most memorable experiences at the movie theater, where I didn't know what was going to happen. And it changed how I watch movies. Like from that point on, I was watching movies, even movies like Forrest Gump and some of the great Hollywood classics that I wouldn't have been exposed to, or I wouldn't have gravitated towards had I not watched Shawshank.
Now, do you guys ever find like movies are great, and I love that we're in a world now where you can DVR anything, record it, you can stream it, you can find it anywhere. But what about some of the series? Like, do you guys? What I found is I was always, when you had to watch it live or whatever, it was hard for me to get into a series. But then when COVID came along, suddenly it opened up everything. And then it wasn't a movie that I'd put off for years, but even shows like Breaking Bad, I didn't start till season 7. But you know what? Sometimes when you jump in, you hear everybody talking about it, and you jump in and you watch that first episode. And if it's cast so well and the characters are so good, you just get instantly hooked. And now you have the ability to binge it. Do you guys follow series? Do you guys watch series? What are you guys binging right now? Or what's the last thing that you binged?
Well, The Crown.
The Crown.
Okay. Yeah, see, for me, it's different. When I'm with my girlfriend, we try and find a series to binge. We've binged Breaking Bad. We tried to get it. I find when I get to binge a series that everyone tells me to watch, I might watch it the first episode like 3 or 4 times until I get to the second or third. I think Yellowstone was like that for me. I tried a couple of times. I was like, then this summer we went to Mexico, and then we're like all in. We watched 3 episodes on the plane.
And Rob Evans just brought up Designated Survivor. You know what? The first 2 seasons of that, Rob, were awesome. Like it's a show where whenever they have a big cabinet meeting and all the House and vice presidents and everybody are in one room together, there's one designated survivor that is removed just in case everybody's wiped out. You have the next line for the presidency. That was a great series. It got a little weird. It got a little political by season 3. As I find a lot of people like to wreck series, the further it kind of goes down the line. But that was a good one, Rob. Great.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Walking Dead. I did that series. I love the Breaking Bad. I want to get into Better Call Saul because I really love that character. But I also do a lot of nerd stuff. Like when I run on my treadmill, I'll watch Star Wars cartoons. So I'm up on all the Clone Wars and the rest. Star Wars
really?
Because I love the Star Wars world. But I love a lot of that geek stuff. But there's other shows that I try and watch, and I'll watch, but unless it really
I'm more of a realist. I like the real, like murder shows or housewives or stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
I
my
know
girlfriend-
housewives aren't 100% real.
My girl,
That scares my wife is big onto those murder shows. She watches
Love 'em.
these.
Oh, Ian, I'm
do
not
you-
even joking. Ian, like,
It's scary.
at
It's
first,
scary.
when we were hanging out with each other, he's like, "Huh, you know, it's kind of funny, whatever, this and that." I listen to him at 6 a.m, getting ready for work, and now it's like, can you just not? Can you listen to something happy? I can't. This affects me.
I look at it differently. I look at it as my wife when she like looks up from the TV during the ad breaks at me, and she's almost thinking, it's not that I would do it, but if I did do it, I'd probably do it something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I don't know. It's unnerving. It's unnerving.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those crime ones. I'll watch a few. I watched a really good one on Disney Plus. Was the Pamela and Tommy? I thought that was a
Mhm.
great show. It's Sebastian
That was
Stan.
pretty
and
good.
I can't remember the actress that they got to play Pamela, but she was actually fantastic. If I think back to one of the comments that was mentioned, I'm just going back to movies. When we're talking about Wolf of Wall Street, I assume that would have been Margot Robbie's one of her first roles, right? And she was fantastic
Yes.
in that movies. And yeah, I do like her as a character. Obviously, she hit the big time this year with the Barbie movie, but yeah, all these
In that
series-
one, I think was like got her known, and then I think
Yeah.
right after that was Focus with Will Smith.
Yeah, she did. Will Focus, and you know, I became a fan when she did the Harlequin in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad because she owned
she's-
that character.
She is
Yeah.
one of the top character actresses, and I think Barbie just proved that as well. In terms of you look at some of the great casting, the great roles where she goes over and beyond herself. She did an amazing job, and that she can win over guys, she can win over girls, she can play action, she can play sweet, she can do it all. Like she's a truly talented character actress.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows out there. There's just not a lot of time because if I was watching shows, I definitely wouldn't get any show prep to you, Jenna, because I barely have time for the life that I have. But yeah, no, that was great talk about movies. And okay, like what's your all-time favorite movie, Jenna, and then Sheldon? Because I said mine, Shawshank Redemption would be probably my number one besides the whole Star Wars world. All-time favorite movie. I got to hear from you. And then you guys, I want you to share with us. I want to hear what some of your all-time favorite movies to put a cap on this movie talk.
Honestly, all-time favorite movie is Blow.
Blow. Okay.
There you go.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
That's a great movie.
yeah.
It is a great movie.
I thought that
I
was
mean,
a great-
that and Casino. I love that movie, Casino.
Yes,
Yeah.
Casino. Joe Pesci, come on. Sheldon,
And
what
that-
about you?
Yeah, and that's a tough one. That's kind of like asking a guy what his favorite color is, right?
Mm.
Like it depends on the day. But
Yeah.
you know, if I was going back to something that I can just get sucked into on the couch, and this was one of those movies actually, Chev, that I didn't see until I was probably in my late 30s or mid 30s. The Godfather. It's
Right.
just everything about that movie was amazing, and it just sucks me in. And I'll tell you what, if I get to spend a Saturday watching Godfather and Godfather 2 comes on next, I'm probably either going to try to watch it or hit record on it, because something about seeing those two movies back to back for me is just, you know, epic. There's been a lot of great movies, but I think if I had to pick one that just stands out for me, it's I know it's probably everybody's pick, but I love
Pretty Woman.
Godfather.
Pretty
What's that?
Woman, you said? Pretty Woman?
Yeah. You know, dude, that's not a bad movie.
It's not a
Actually, yeah,
terrible
you're
movie.
right. You can't just pick one because listening
What
to
was
you,
your movie, Sheldon? I cut you off. What was your movie?
No, it was well, there's another one you just reminded me of with Pretty Woman, but there's so many great movies. Like
Bad Boys. Bad Boys is another one that's one of my favorites.
Really? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. I see the list coming out. Like I'm seeing the names. I'm like, yeah, that was a great movie. Like I see Rob
Transformers
Evans,
cartoon, of course. dude.
Platoon.
Great call.
Platoon.
Platoon.
The
Oh,
Unfor-
Platoon. Full Metal Jacket. Unforgiven. I just saw Unforgiven this weekend, where I saw the second half of it.
so many
yeah, no
good
kidding.
movies. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears here. We talked a little bit earlier about Eric Wilson, National Scouting Combine. They're going to be there tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. I believe it's they did all the testing the last couple of days, and then tomorrow they're going to be doing the challenges, like the mini game, I believe it is. So they're going to be televising that. It's going to be on the NGBN.TV network. Will it be on our apps as well, Jenna?
They're gonna be on. You know what? I don't know exactly
Well,
what
you
app
know,
he's
we
using
saw
for
them on
sure.
Roku this morning, so it's on the Roku app.
Yeah, it was on the Roku app this
Yeah, it's
morning.
on
Both
Roku.
Sheldon and I spoke, talked a little bit about our journey. So you're welcome to stick around for this part, Jenna, but you could also take a break if you want, because we're just going to talk some football stuff. So it's
Yeah,
really
I'm
up to
gonna.
you.
I'll hang out, but in the back scenes, I'm gonna wipe my
You-
face clean.
You're gonna peace out. So yeah, we wanted to touch on this because this is a big deal for our network. The Super Bowl was a big deal going live, and this National Scouting Combine is a big network or a big deal for the network.
Yeah.
We went on today with Eric Wilson to talk a little bit about our journey. Both of us really had an untraditional path to the pros. We both got there, but it wasn't an easy journey for either of us. And this National Scouting Combine, what's unique about it is it's an opportunity for guys that aren't necessarily on the NFL's must-have radar. Not guys that they've, you're not getting your top draft picks. You're not getting your guys that everyone knows everything about that they got a book on. These are guys, small school guys that might not have gotten a big ride out of high school, taking a shot to see if they can make it. And it's a pretty awesome thing because every once in a while, some of those guys wind up in the NFL. They wind up in the CFL. A lot of guys come from those types of combines. They wind up in the new UFL. So these guys are chasing their dream and they're doing whatever it takes. And I love that. I love that because that's my story. That's your story, Sheldon. And I'm just excited that we're part of this. And to see all these guys chase their dreams and training for the combine, it is definitely an interesting time in an athlete's life.
So which combines did you go to coming out of college? Because I was injured. My draft year, I was in the NCAA and I just I tore my pec off. And I was out of football out of commission for about 8 months. I never went to any of those combines. How did you view the combine back then? Was that something you were training for? Did you have coaches getting you prepared for that? Like, how did you take that on?
Well, first of all, I was invited to the CFL combine, and getting invited to the CFL combine was a big deal back then because you had to be voted on by all the coaches in your conference as one of the guys that could stand out. So it was really like you weren't even allowed to attend if you wanted to. What they do now, they've evolved the CFL scouting combine. They do regional combines where guys can show up, and if they get selected out of these regional combines, it kind of filters upwards. But back then it was based purely on your film and really your reputation.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't get invited, you weren't getting seen. For the NCAA, they do the combine as well in Indianapolis. That's the big one where all the guys are known, but they also have pro days where, a certain high draft pick guy, let's say there's a really big time guy coming out of one of the schools, they'll host a pro day for that guy, but they'll also showcase some of their seniors so they can get on an NFL radar. They don't do that too much in Canada. So at that time, getting invited to the CFL combine was a big deal, and preparing for that combine was a big deal. Now, combine preparation going on this year is very different than preparing for the season. Combine preparation, you are preparing to look good in shorts and to have good testing numbers. You're preparing for a 40-yard dash. You're preparing for a shuttle run, vertical jump, broad jump, bench press, and a couple of other tests. We did do one-on-ones, but the primary focus is really to impress with your numbers. And so guys are working really hard on these very specific things that don't necessarily translate to being a great football player.
No, but they definitely translate to a person's judgment of whether or not you fit in with the prototype, because a middle linebacker should be able to do the box run in this much time, a DB, a receiver. And if you fall outside of those categories, you can get overlooked in an awful hurry.
Well, put it this way. If you're an offensive lineman, okay, and you bench press 225, 25 times or more, even up to 50 times, you're strong. They know you're strong. And, if you break the record, like I was watching a viral video of Larry Allen from the Dallas Cowboys day doing it 40 times or whatever it was. And I used to be his tackling dummy. And yeah, that gets noticed. But anywhere from that 25 to 40 rep range, you're a strong guy. But if you're an offensive lineman and you show up to the combine and you can't bench press 225 5 times, they're going to look at you sideways. Now, bench press is not an indication of your ability to move a body on the football field. And there are some guys that can't bench press.
Well, I was one of them. I mean, I was a 400-pound guy, but if
but you also tore your pec.
What's that? But I tore my pec. Well, and I've got
your
long arms. Like my arms are long, and so for me, things like cleans and squats, there's a lot of power. But a bench press, I never did 25 times on the bench press at 225. I always felt bad about that, right? But I know I was strong on the field. So
you're farm strong. You're farm strong. Like you had that farm strong. I had that weight room strong. Like I did 28 times. I tested really well. But what set me apart not only was my combine numbers, but it was the one-on-one day where we did the skill showcase with O-line versus D-line. I really dominated there, and that really boosted my draft stock in the CFL. Those numbers also translated, got sent to the NFL, and those numbers got me a look by the Indianapolis Colts. They came up to work me out at McGill. I matched a lot of my numbers that I did at the CFL Combine, and because the Colts came up to see me, it got put on a waiver wire, and then the word got out that, hey, there's this kid in Canada that you need to see, because the Colts went to see him.
Right.
And that got me on the NFL radar. The Green Bay Packers flew me down. The Minnesota Vikings flew me down. And lo and behold, next thing you know, on the strength of my numbers, plus the fact I played in the East-West Shrine game, I got drafted to the NFL. So that preparation that I did really was a catalyst for getting some eyeballs looking at me. And
so going into those things, because at this point, you have no idea if you're good enough. You have no idea if somebody's going to take a chance on you.
Yep.
And I was putting myself in those shoes today, trying to remember until I actually got into training camp to compare. Like, you're so uncertain about whether or not you're going to fit in or you belong. Even with the testing, I never went to the combine, so I never got to rank myself next to the guys that were also up in the draft, right? But what did that feel like for you? Did you feel confident that you were going to be in the NFL?
Well, it is different story, because I never got to rank myself against the NFL guys, but I did play against them when I went to the East-West Shrine game,
right,
and I played well. What the ticket for me was that I was also a long snapper, and the fact that I could play a position as a starter, and I won the Metros Trophy in Canadian University, which is the lineman of the year, but that I could snap was a huge bonus. And that's what people were looking at. This I was kind of undersized. I was 6'3", but that's still undersized for NFL defensive tackle. But because I was 320 at the time, I ran fast. I lifted lots. I had good film, and I could long snap. It was kind of the whole package for them that, Jaguars took a chance on me. I got a chance to play with Cowboys, the Bengals. I was in the circuit for a bit. Now, unfortunately, my passport worked against me, because the minute my visa wore out, it took a very precise timing for me to be able to get another shot in the NFL, and things just never aligned. But I made my 14, 15-year career in the CFL on the strength of both those things. And, for all these kids doing this combine, it's really an opportunity for them that didn't exist in years past. Because even this national scouting combine was not a thing until these guys decided that, hey, why don't we showcase these other athletes, the NFL coaches, scouts, everyone's in that area already. Let's have another showcase. It's not a far drive for them. They might send a scout, they might send a regional scout. Our good buddy who missed the show tonight because he decided vacation is more important than the ride, Chris Rubio, he's been in situations to do some long snapping camps, piggybacking off of some other football activities going on that's benefited his athletes. And it's a smart move, because these kids would get that exposure. So I'm really excited to see if some of these kids come out of this, get an opportunity, because you know what? There's only a few jobs in the NFL, the CFL, the UFL. And some of the guys that become the biggest stars, especially up here in the CFL, what I love about the CFL, some guys are such amazing talents that we would have never known about had they not come up in here to play. And the guy that to me comes to mind whenever I think of one of the greatest football players that I ever played with, CFL or NFL, would be Nick Lewis.
Sure.
You know, and Nick Lewis, I believe is Southern Arkansas or Arkansas State. He's the leading
Yep.
record holding receiver for the CFL, most receptions. Gosh, what an athlete in his prime, even to the end. I mean, he was he was a bit heavier at the end.
He was never the fastest guy, even from the start. He was never the fastest guy. He was never the tallest guy. Like, was he 6 foot?
6 foot, but he could hurdle guys.
Yeah.
But the routes, the blocking, the body of work that this guy put together over a decade in the CFL, it's no wonder he's in the Hall of Fame. And the CFL is full of stories like that. Like, if you love the underdog, we talked about underdog story and redemption when we're talking about the Wolf of Wall Street. The CFL is a league of people who get that chance and make their opportunity. You think of the Doug Flutie's, Jeff Garcia, who's a guest on our show. Like, that's what this league provides those guys, and some of them an opportunity to go to the NFL, but it starts with an opportunity like this National Scouting Combine where these guys get to show their stuff. So if you're interested and you got time, you could take a look on the NGBN.TV network. Tomorrow we're broadcasting live the National Scouting Combine. It starts at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So we'll let you go soon so you can wake up and watch that on our network. Sheldon, it was another great night. We have lots to talk about. We could talk till 2 a.m, but I think this is about as good a time as any to cut it off. For those of you that stuck around, Jamin, Rob Evans, Nana Mona, Amanda, and everyone else that's been with us for the show tonight, we really appreciate you. We love coming every week. This network, this group of people, this community we're trying to build with the NGBN, it gives us purpose. And me hanging out with this knucklehead on the other side, we talk now more than we ever did, and we're always nervous before the show, but we always pull it off. And again, it's also thanks to all of you interacting with us. Sheldon, last word's yours.
You know what? That's it. I just want to say thanks again to everybody for following along with us. I know you got a lot of options that you could be doing at this time of night, and the fact that you guys stuck around with us means a lot to me and Chev. Again, just a reminder, guys, if you're not following on all of our socials, you can find us at Chevy and Nasty on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and soon to be LinkedIn. Guys, just thanks so much for joining us here, and we will talk to you all. See you all, I hope, again next week. We're out.